Right, Keith, it's 15 years ago today, one of the biggest nights in Cheltenham's history, Yeovil 3-2. How clearly do you remember that night?
I can remember most of the game, to be honest. I was sat on the bench, unfortunately, for the game. Been left out. Party atmosphere, over 6, probably 7,000, I don't know how many, probably 8,000 in there. There was rows and banks of little kids sat by the dugout, which I've never seen before in my life. Club did well financially, I would imagine, just throwing them in through the turnstile. Didn't start particularly well. I think they went 1-0 down. Took us a while to get going. Got back into the game through I think Jamie scored first, and then Neil Grayson scored a header at the near post. So it all was going swimmingly, and then we conceded a penalty just after half time, which Warren Patmore scored for Yeovil, I think. And it was a very nervous night from then. I think we played quite well in the second half, as we had done all season. And then we got a free kick right near the end of the game, and I was lucky to be on the pitch at the time, and got the ball, took it, whipped it in, and Jamie scored the winner.
Yeah, so you're saying Jamie scored the winner?
I always say Jamie scored the winner. Yeah.
You're the man who put the cross in, so you're pretty well positioned to comment on it.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't see obviously from where I was, but I put it into the right position, and from the trajectory of the ball going into the goal, I would always say Jamie scored the goal. And as I said, I've said in countless interviews, well, Jamie isn't a man to tell lies, so I know Michael likes to claim the glory, but I would always put it down to Jamie, to be honest.
It's quite amazing that one of the most important goals the club's ever scored, and people don't know exactly who scored it.
Yeah.
But was there much discussion about it afterwards, or did nobody care?
No, I think we were drinking too much, to be honest. I don't think anybody cared who scored the goal as long as it went in. And as you say, it's very contentious. This day and age, with with Sky Sports and things like that, you probably clear it up within a matter of seconds. But it just adds a little bit of intrigue to the folklore of the night, doesn't it? So and it always will do. So I think deep down Michael knows who got the last touch.
Yeah. So you went on, joined the action. Do you remember their goalkeeper Tony Pennant was making save after save? Wasn't he?
He had a fantastic game. And to be honest, Tony was always a very good goalkeeper. So we knew all about them. And Yeovil, one of the strongest teams in the league that year as well, with one of the biggest playing budgets. And so we knew we were going to be in for a tough night. And anything they could do to stop us from going up, they were going to do. And they performed fantastically well on the evening. But our momentum and our togetherness got us through the game, really.
Yeah, and you had a couple of games, well, you had 3 left I think after that, but it's nice to do it at home, wasn't it? Because you had a couple of away games after that. It was good to get it in front of that crowd.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, that was always our intention. A huge crowd on the night with lots of anticipation, and it was nice to get the job done early with a few games to go so we could relax.
Yeah, you're probably quite well positioned to comment on how Coshaw did it, because I think you were one of the first players you brought in from Hale Bowen, weren't you?
Yeah.
During the Southern League
I was
season.
his first signing, yeah.
And
I'd known Steve a long time, and I'd heard rumours that he was taking over, and he made a phone call to me and asked me, would I be interested in coming back? Told me his plans for the club, what he wanted to do, and I didn't really have to think about it. I said yes pretty much straight away. I think my first game was against Kings Lynn. We would have been in the Southern Prem then, which we actually lost. But Steve, was very much like John Murphy as a manager, in my opinion. But he inherited a fairly good squad, fairly experienced squad at the level, who probably underachieved under previous regimes. And if you speak to any of the players that were there at the time, would admit the same. But Steve brought in a more professional attitude and a work ethic that was second to none in the conference when we got into the conference. But we also had a good social side as well, which it's an old cliche, but we had a togetherness in the change room, which brought us through a lot of games when we hit sticky patches.
Yeah, I think most people expected you to get into the conference. Yeah, it was probably where the club should have been at the time. Yeah. But when did you actually start thinking, we might be able to actually win this league?
I think Cheltenham's problem over the years being in the Southern Prem was it was always, we're too good to play in the Southern Prem, we should be in the conference. And when when they played against other teams, that was a catalyst for other teams to want to beat them, because they always thought they were bigger than everybody else. And I can remember when I was playing for Trowbridge at the time, certainly being a Cheltenham lad, they used to come down and they were always a bit aloof, if you like, which is why they never won the league until Steve took over. But certainly, they were, as a club, well organised and definitely needed to be in the conference. So I think when we actually got in the conference, even as players, we just expected a couple of years of consolidation before they might have a go at it. But our first pre-season, when we came back to play in the conference, I remember Steve sitting us in the middle of the pitch and saying, we've achieved nothing yet. This year we're going to win the conference, and we sort of all looked at each other as if to say, what's he on about? I think we finished top, second year to Halifax, and the day Halifax won the trophy, we actually played them away. We got beat 4-0 probably, something stupid like that. And they picked the trophy up, and Steve said, as they picked it up, he said that'll be us next season. And he was right. And he had this sort of attitude that rubbed off on all the players. He was infectious, and obviously it worked out for us the season after.
Yeah. How much of it do you think was his self-belief that he just got the best out of players?
I've known Steve a long time. He's had that self-belief since he was a kid, to be quite honest. And playing for him, he didn't change the way he was. But he got lads who had been playing for Cheltenham for a number of years, and lads who joined after that, to sort of to believe what he believed, and they did so. And ordinary players, or good players at the level, then became even better players at the level because they had a self-confidence and belief that other players in other teams couldn't cope with.
Yeah, and the Rushden were obviously the main title rivals the second season of the conference. So you scored the winner at home, didn't you, against them? That was like massive crowd. I think over 4,000, wasn't it?
Huge. I mean, Rushden were a little bit like how Cheltenham were in the Southern Prem. They were always a little bit aloof. Everybody knew that they had money to burn. They were spending huge budgets on lots of players, and probably budget-wise they should have won the league. Obviously didn't have the right manager in place at the time, I guess. But it was one of those fixtures that when you played against them, you desperately wanted to beat them to show them that you couldn't buy the league. And that's what we did. So when we beat Rushden, I think that's when we started to believe that that could be our year.
Yeah, and you started at Wembley in the trophy final, didn't you?
Yes.
How much do you think that the size of the club was sort of illustrated, all the interest in the club, wasn't it? The amount of people who went to Wembley and then the people who came out for the celebrations.
Absolutely fantastic. I mean, being a Cheltenham person, I could not believe how many people that we took to Wembley on the day. And obviously it was a fantastic occasion. Probably one of the worst games of football I've ever played in. But a great place to have a poor game, if you like. But it's carnival atmosphere, and again, it was one of those games that we never thought, although we played poorly on the day, we never thought that we were going to lose. And I guess that was the catalyst for winning the conference the year after. But the celebrations for the trophy final win when we came back to Cheltenham, I can remember coming on the bus down the prom and just seeing a sea of red and white. The people like Chris Banks and Mark Freeman saying, "How many people do you think will be out?" One man and his dog type thing, but seeing the whole of Cheltenham came out, and it was absolutely fantastic to see that many people supporting their home club. Yeah,
and then what was going back to the Yeovil game? What was the night like? Because I think everyone stayed in the bar, didn't they? Everyone was
it was quite surreal, really, because it was almost like the football match got in the way of a party. There were lots and lots of people on the way. I remember going to the ground, and there was lots and lots of people already arriving at the ground, trying to get the best seat and probably get in. And obviously after we'd done the business, people on the pitch and all that sort of thing, it took me ages to get off the pitch. And we just sort of sat in the change room for 5 or 10 minutes, letting it sink in and just looking at each other, and then all of a sudden just erupted into mayhem. And I think I got home about 5:30 in the morning. Brilliant night, absolutely fantastic, and party with Mark Freeman, Banksy, Jamie and all those sort of people, just a night you'll never forget.
Yeah, and you had a good career playing for Reading and you played in Holland, didn't you?
Yep.
And you had a couple of years in the Southern League, so for you to climb up to play in a conference winning team, but then did you know in the back of your mind, you had a big decision to make because of your career as well?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I had a good job at the time, and I'd had initial discussions with Steve about new contracts and that sort of thing, and I guess it all depended on whether we got into the Football League or not. And we had a frank discussion over a couple of beers, and he offered me a contract for a year, and I had to think about it. Not too long, to be honest, because I had a good job, and I thought, well, if I do it for a year and then I don't get another new contract, I've given up my job, I've got to start again. And I made the decision that it wasn't for me. And I think probably because I played for Reading and played professionally in Holland, that made it a little bit easier, because I'd had a go at what I wanted to do, and I had a young family at the time as well. So yeah, it wasn't a difficult decision, I don't think, and one I don't regret. Although I watched a few games in the first season when they were in League Two, thinking maybe, but no, I don't regret it. I had a good career back in non-league, if you like, after I'd left Cheltenham with Worcester, and I've met lots and lots of acquaintances through football, which I would, who I wouldn't have met, had I stayed and played professionally with Cheltenham.
Yeah, Jason Eaton had a similar sort of decision to make, didn't he? But a lot of those lads that were getting into their 30s, took a big gamble, really, didn't they? And they sort of most of them stayed around for a few years. So
they did. Yeah, people like Grace went into it, Russell went into it, and thoroughly enjoyed themselves, and good luck to them. But for me and for Jason, I think we realised that we were at the wrong end of our career to go professionally. or go professionally again, because Jason had done it again with Bristol Rovers. And you know, while we enjoyed being at Cheltenham and getting them into the Football League, which is something that people can never take away from us, we made the right decision.
Yes.
Please go back here.
So I've got to move my car.
Yeah.
Shall I go and do that now?
Yeah.